What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Bullets, Barbells, and Barbecue. I'm your host, Brett. We have the artist formerly known as Heavy C. He's back.
Yes, thank you.
You can hear the excitement. We got Matt, Double Deuce, and we got Tanner the Head. We got our show partners, Elite Nutrition Omaha. Check them out at elitenutritionomaha.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off. Go to the store, use B or yell B3.
Get a free shaker.
Did you talk to the guy at the other store?
No.
Oh,
I just want someone to hit the nuts.
Actually, you can just walk into a bunch of stores and yell B3 and see what happens.
Yeah.
Right. Who knows?
Yeah. Rosewood Block, they make the best cutting boards in barbecue, fully customizable. Check them out at rosewoodblock.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off there as well. This week we're going to continue a little bit of the personal excellence one like we did last week. And I'll let Matt start that.
Sweet.
And we're done.
That was the end of that.
You're the best
Wrap.
around.
No, we were chatting and kind of thinking about things to be better, and a thing that has been something that I've tried to get better at and sometimes get like obsessive about it is time management and being like effective with your time. And like a perfect instance this morning is Aaron and I, we woke up about the same time. I got up, let the dogs out, came back, laid down in bed, and as I'm sitting there, we're talking, and my mind starts to drift of like all the shit that I should do before I came here. I'm like, well, fuck, there's laundry I got to do. I need to get some stuff ready because I got a bunch of stuff I have to do for work. I need to make some food for the day, and so I'm like going through all this stuff that I need to get done as like I'm sitting there, and we're just like talking, hanging out, and then I get up, and she's like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, there's shit to do. Like I've been awake for 20 minutes, like, and I haven't done anything productive yet. Like I gotta get stuff done. So sometimes it's it's a little disruptive, but on the flip side of it, there's like so much time that we have in the day that we don't do anything with. And I'm not saying that we have to be just obsessive and maximize and not enjoy any downtime, but like when we tell ourselves or when we say, oh man, I wish I had time for this or I wish I had time for that, like we do have time for that. We're just we just prioritize something else over it, whether it's, good stuff like hanging out with family and friends and doing stuff like that. Like that's still not a waste of time, or like scrolling through your phone or watching TV or reading or doing something. But anytime like you don't do something else, it's because you're making a choice to do the other thing. And there's a lot of those little moments throughout the day.
There's a weird silence at the end of that.
It was.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
good.
I didn't know.
I thought you were still going.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I was impacted.
For me, I'm are you guys procrastinator? Like I'm a procrastinator.
I am not.
I am. Well, I can
Depends
be.
certain things, I guess.
I can be. So, but if I procrastinate something one time, I'll procrastinate it for fucking ever. So like, I just know that if I need to do something, I just have to do it then. Like I can't.
Yeah.
If I blow it off once, then like the next time it comes, I'm like, fuck it, that wasn't that important. I just keep moving. But like if you look at my phone, like I have alarms set like all day, almost every day. Like do this, get this done. I have a freaking alarm to make sure I get my kid's lunch in his lunchbox like every morning. Yeah, I have an alarm to take my lunch. Like I just have alarms because I just know that I blow things off or I just don't think about them.
We had those alarms set that time we text you every hour when you failed your bench that time.
Yeah. I mean,
So they legitimately had alarms.
it becomes effective.
Yeah, it did work. So every hour we could tell Tanner that he failed.
Yeah.
I think I do procrastinate a little bit only because if I start something, I can't rest until it's done. I am really weird about that. Like if I start working on something on the house and I didn't get it finished that day, I'll just sit there and think about doing it.
So isn't that the worst is when you have like a big project?
Yeah.
Like you're doing something that can't be done in a day.
Right.
Like you're building a deck or you're doing something and you're like, like you like never want to stop. It's like, I can just get this done.
I just want to get it done.
And then like you wake up like, I got to get started. Like it's just never. Yeah. That's the beauty about like painting a room is that you're just done like after you're done. But
Yeah. And like Brett brought up from the Power of One More, the Ed Mylett book and stuff, like he talks about breaking his day into what he calls 3 days. So he says he has 3 6-hour days that he goes through. And so he tries to maximize each one of those days. So from like 6 a.m. to noon is one day. And then that's a reset going on to his next day from noon to 6 and then 6 to midnight again. And so we were kind of debating like, what does that really mean? Because obviously it's still only 6 hours. You don't have full 8 hours, and it's still the same 24-hour period. And what we kind of came through is, if you kind of extrapolate from that, it's just breaking up your day into chunks, so you have a shorter time period that you're constraining yourself to try to get stuff done, rather than,
you think you have all day.
Yeah, like you're like, oh, I've got all day to get this stuff done. And there's been a ton of studies that I unfortunately did a lot of research on in an old role, because I was working on like time efficiency and like some productivity coaching at work. And the vast majority of people will take the time allotted to complete the given task.
Yep.
And stuff. And so we just do that. And so if you have a 20-minute task, but you're given 60 minutes to do it, guess what? It's fucking going to take 60 minutes. Whether you do it, you stretch it out and you work on it a little bit over those 60 minutes, or like a lot of us, you procrastinate for the first 45, 50, and you're like, fuck. And then you get it done at the very end. Like, we still take that 60 minutes to get stuff done, rather than just saying, I have 20 minutes to get a 20-minute task done. Do that.
Did this whole thing come up because you forgot to read and had to restart 75 bucks?
No.
Okay.
But that was something that like helped remind me to like just prioritize stuff. But it's actually stemmed. So in my current role, I'm doing a lot of like different projects, right? So some of the projects are things that are a day to 2 days long. One of them we've mapped out is probably a 3-year project. And so the 3-year project is just killing me.
How do you determine if something's a 3-year project?
Because you don't know exactly how long it's going to take. And so like you're ballparking how many resources you have today and estimating how long it's going to take to do the project. And so you're like, well, I've only got 5 people. They can work 8 hours a day. So that gives me X amount of hours. I know it takes Y amount of hours to do this. And you divide and you kind of extrapolate to back into that. Is kind of what the rough math for it. But the piece that I'm pushing with us now, that is, I don't know, it's being received differently from people, probably because I'm somewhat of an asshole when I bring it up.
I get it.
But we had a conversation of, hey, this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we probably need a 3-month lead time to get that done. And I'm like, all right, well, why can't we do it in a month? And my approach to that wasn't like, I think you guys are fucking lazy. My approach was, what is the barrier from accomplishing a 3-month task in 1 month? Like, is it we don't have enough people? We don't have enough, resources. We don't have, what's the limiting factor to it? And, one of them that we brought up, which is not the instance here, but like, if you're talking about harvesting crops, they take a certain amount of time to grow. Like, you can't plant it today and harvest a fully grown corn stalk tomorrow. There's a fixed amount of time that it takes. So sometimes that's your limiting factor, where it just takes that long for something to come to maturity. Sometimes, like in the instance of this, like manpower, right? We have X amount of people on our team. They can only do so much work, even if we work them 24 hours a day, right? They can only do so much work. And so that's the limiting factor. And it's like, okay, well, that's the limiting factor that we have today. And that's why it's going to take 3 months. What if we added one more person to that team? Or what if, rather than my team of 8 working 8 hours a day for 3 months, they worked 10 hours a day, 3 days a week for a month and a half? Like, does that get that done? And so then you can kind of start to balance and figure out what's my limiting resource? Where's my constraint? And is it worth either investing more, paying more money, working more to get it done sooner? Or like, are we good with that time frame?
Well, I think you can. So when they redid I-180 off the stadium, this was like probably 20 years ago, they gave the contractor a bonus. So every day they got it done early, they got like some obscene amount of money. And you could see they were out there 24 hours a day. There was a crew because they wanted the millions of bonus check.
I was going to say, I think the pay structure can change how fast a project gets done.
Mm-hmm. Was there something like that after the flood too? Over in Iowa, they had to rebuild the interstate. And they said,
They
you guys
did
get it
that.
done. They had it done in like 3 fucking weeks or something. Yeah.
They also did that during the big earthquake in California, like in the late 80s. And that guy came up with that quick dry concrete.
Yep.
And so he made like millions because he got everything done like way ahead of time. But yeah, I feel like it's, it's that old joke like, oh, that guy fucking must work hourly because he just fucking, you know what I mean? Like you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You're just doing, I think pay per project on stuff like that is a better incentive for people.
Yeah.
And obviously projects are an easy one to do, pay for project because it has to be functioning. You can't just be like, here you go. And just like walk out of the room and like, well, that's fucking like we used to give people the old taillight guarantee when they leave the shop. Once I can't see the taillights anymore, it's not my problem.
Right. But I think you can back that into your own life. Like I think Tanner's brought it up when it comes to like fitness, nutrition, changing goals. It's like, hey, I want to lose weight. Cool. Like if you sit here for an hour, you're going to lose weight. Done. Like we won. You lost weight. Like what's your goal? Put something measurable to it and figure out. And like I think you'd even said, all right, so you want to lose 100 pounds. If we go at a pound a week, here's how long it's going to take. Now, if you want to get a little more aggressive, we can do here. And there's things you can change, but there's trade-offs for it, right? You either are going to be super hungry for a super long period of time, or you're going to drop all that weight. It's going to come off really fast. It's going to be hard to keep it off. But for that one point in time, sure, you're going to be down that weight. But so there's all these trade-offs that we can do as we look to tackle things within our lives. But it's all about kind of that, what are we willing to trade off to get this done now versus later?
Well, back to that guy that you were talking about with the 6-hour days. I saw something on him. It was like, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago. And he's basically talking about how to outwork your opponent or whoever you're trying to beat, or whoever in business and life or whatever. And he said, I'll outwork you every time because I basically get 3 days done in a day. And then he talks about how he splits his day up. I don't remember exactly where he starts and stops. What goals he's trying to accomplish in the 6 hours, but I remember him talking about it. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. But is that something that's sustainable for regular everyday people for your whole life? Maybe if you turn it into something like that, but if you're just looking for something to get ahead and try to outwork somebody, that's probably something you could really look at to where it would, and then it would probably be pretty life-changing for you, even if you did that for a few months and tried it out.
Well, and I think we all do that with certain things. Like you understand that you have to put the pedal down and get stuff done. I mean, there have been times where like I was expanding like my last company and I was working 80 hours a week, still getting to the gym, still trying to do family time, getting like 4 hours of sleep. You can do that for a certain amount of time, and then I would just like fall asleep on like Saturday night, and then Sunday I would like sometime
wake up Sunday, yeah.
sometime like just recharge. Yeah. But I think we all do. I'm kind of in a situation like that now. Like I know that over the next couple months, I'm going to have hammer down, and you're just going to have to do it. I think another thing is that some people are like, you got to get up at like 4:30 in the morning and attack life and blah, blah. Like some people just don't work that way. But the other people are like you're in bed. Those people are in bed by 9 o'clock. Right. Other people are up till midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and they sleep till 8. But just figure out where you're at, because not everyone's the same. And I just love like, you got to get up at 4:30 and freaking work out. Well, no, you fucking don't. But like, if you're up until 2 o'clock in the morning, guess what? You've been sleeping for 5 hours, and I'm still getting shit done.
Yeah. So and there's like a segue into something else we were talking about. Is there's a great book, Matthew Wilkins. Anyway, this Brit fellow wrote a book called Why We Sleep, and then tons and tons of research. But one of the things in there, he talks about I think there's 5 different types of sleep patterns for people. Yeah. Like they're the early bedders who are like 7:30, 8 o'clock, but then you're also up at 4, but you've got your 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And then there's the, you go to bed. So I think it's between 7 to 8:30 is one, and then like 8:30 to 10, and then 10 to midnight, and then midnight to 2 are like the sections. But obviously the later you go to bed, the earlier or the later you're going to get up. But that doesn't change kind of your productivity and stuff. So if you're a late nighter, like if you're a person who goes to bed at midnight, you can't be a person who's going to get up at 4:30 every day and try to do it just doesn't work. But if you're a midnight bed person and you can sleep till 8, get up at 8, like treat 8 like that's your 4 o'clock in the morning. Like get up and just start crushing shit right away, and you're gonna have the same jump off. And like you said, later in the day, they're already gonna be working for several hours. Then you jump in, so now you guys are working at the same time. But then when they stop, you're still going, and so you can still get that same amount of stuff in and you can still do work.
I actually just read something on that it was probably an evolutionary thing to protect us. That everyone had different sleep schedules, so some people go to bed early, but if they're to bed early, then your town's vulnerable, and like basically other people, like it's actually designed to protect us. There's always someone up and there's always someone functioning.
Yeah. So there's a very small window where there's nobody awake and alert.
Right, and it was actually designed to protect us, which is weird. But
Well, I think like on the time management thing, I think that free time goes a lot of different ways, because you have people who want to talk about, especially now, there's all this talk about different like minimum wages and what they should be and what people should get paid. And I mean, I've always said I think minimum wages for high school and college kids, and like you should hopefully be working your way up through blah. Anyway, but in your free time, you can be doing something else. Like I talked about one of my friends, his mom always had 2 jobs. But in your free time, you could be doing something else. You could be being productive to do something else. If obviously money is a concern of yours, right? But on the other end, I also don't like people who always say, well, time is money. You know, they want to charge you for everything, because your time is not worth anything if you're just sitting at home. You know, not everything. Your time is not worth, it's not always money. Depends on who and what you are. You know, if you're some kind of, I don't know, like world leader, world class, whatever, you know what I mean? Like your time is obviously valuable in what you're doing because you don't have a lot of free time. If you don't have a lot of free time because you're busy, actually, like
if you're Elon Musk, your time is worth money.
Your time is worth money because you don't have a ton of downtime. You know what I mean? But if you're just an average person who, you know, maybe you work in a trade or whatever, you're just an average person and you're like, well, you know, man, fucking time is money. Not really, because if I didn't call you and ask you to do this, you don't have anything to do. You know, you watching Netflix, it just costs any money. And that's fine too, if that's what you want. But free time is a very weird thing that people do or don't want to be efficient with, but they want to talk about the other end of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, like we said, if you go home and you want to play video games or sit outside and soak up sunlight or something like that, and like that's what you want to do, that's fucking cool. Knock yourself out, but don't complain about, I wish I had time to do this.
Or I wish I had more money to do this.
Because you're making that choice, and that choice is totally fine. Like if that's what makes you happy, cool. If you say, oh man, I wish I had time to work out, you do. You're choosing to do something else. So if working out is now your priority, you have to give up whatever you were doing during that time that you need to be working out, or
your Call of Duty time might have to go away.
Right. Like maybe you got to cut down on that. Right. But that's the thing. It's like you will always find time to do something that you really want to do. Right. Like when I was younger and probably right out of high school too, right out of college, right? We would go drinking and stay up all night. Like I didn't have time to do that. Like I should have been sleeping because I was fucking tired, hot mess, but I made whatever sacrifices I needed to at work and with my health to go and do that stuff, right? Not good choices, but like you'll find time, you'll make time to do stuff, or like working 80 hours a week and sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night. Like you're making the decision that this is more important than whatever else I could or should be doing here. And so you do that. Is 80 hours a week sustainable? No, not for a long time. Well, but you can do it in spurts.
Working on the 80 hours a week, or like Ed Milet's 3 days in one. I think, and I haven't finished his book, but I mean, I would look at that towards when you're trying to accomplish a task, like working 80 hours a week, like you were doing, like Amber and I used to do the open to close thing when we first opened the gym, but you're trying to like accomplish a task of like, we need to build this up so I don't have to be here as much. I can do other things.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure Ed Milet, like when he talks about outworking somebody, like I'm sure Ed does a lot of things. I mean, that guy's all over the place, but that's probably his highest gear. So if he's really working on a project, his highest gear is probably the 3 days in one. You know what I mean? I'm not going to speak for, I don't know, but that's probably like when he's in like game mode, like I need to do this because we're launching this new real estate venture. You know what I mean? So he's probably knocking it out. Now that 3 days in one, he might always do it, but the task list might be way smaller on those days. Like his 6 a.m. to noon might be like, hey, I got to return some emails. I got to make a couple calls and then
get a workout in.
And then his noon one might be like, hey, I got a quick business lunch with a guy. I got to go pick up some dry cleaning. You know what I mean? And but when he's in game mode, it might be like, I'm in meetings from, I'm prepping for meetings from 6 to 8, from 8 to noon. I'm in meetings from noon. You know what I mean? I would guess that Ed Milet does not live at that level at all
I don't
times.
think most people can.
No,
I don't think you'd want to.
And I think you can do it
Yeah.
as long as there's an end game. And that kind of goes back to last week where we were talking about having someone honest around you, like your goals. If you're just working 80 hours a week, just going in fucking circles, you know what I mean? Like even if you work for someone else, say we're talking about the trades, say if you're an electrician and you're working on a brand new project, sure, you're going to work 80 hours a week while they're trying to get that project done. But as soon as that project's done, you're probably back down to 40 or, you see those guys, or they're at the union hall looking, getting a new job assignment or whatever. You know what I mean? Like if you just keep running 80 hours a week and it's going nowhere, like you should reevaluate what you're
This
doing.
is your 80-hour week mesocycle. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah. And then
Yeah.
now I need a deload.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's all like part of that personal excellence, being responsible for your time.
Well, you and Amber couldn't have continued open to close forever.
No.
Like you just can't.
No,
But
I mean,
you have to at the beginning.
Yeah, and every once in a while, we have really good employees now, but every once in a while, I've worked open to close.
Yep.
Every now and then it still happens, but you also as an owner / business person, whatever you want, sometimes that's going to happen, and you have to understand, like, you can't hate your employees for it. Like, they have lives too.
Right.
Like, things happen. I've seen people who open a business and right away they're like, well, I'm going to hire like 5 employees. I'm like, for what? Like, you can do
Yeah.
all of it.
Because they want that end game today.
Yeah, they want to go from A to Z, but skip, B through Y.
Right. And it's like, but at that point, it's like, cool, you can, but what do you have to give up for that? Like, do you have to charge more money? Do you have to make less money? Can you do it? Like maybe right when you guys first opened, like, could you have hired people to come and work that full time? Maybe. You're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
But you have time.
Yeah, and that's with anything. That's, if you want to buy like a new car.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you can afford the one car. So don't like put yourself in like complete fucking debt. I mean, obviously most people are going to take a car. I get it. But don't put a payment you can't afford just because you want that car. Maybe work towards that car or work towards the house you want to buy. I mean, it's all just a process.
Well, and I think when we're talking about goals and like making smart goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, time sensitive, that when you were talking about the time, like if you put a 3-month goal, you're probably going to take 3 months to do it.
Yeah. 100%.
Like evaluate it. Can you do it faster?
Yeah.
Because then you get more time back.
Yeah. And it's like, if you really look in and like you're really honest with yourself, you'll find so much wasted time throughout the day of just either doing like, so in my life, I get sucked into the whole YouTube or fucking Clash of Clans, that fucking game's still around. But like there's stuff like that that's a giant fucking time suck, right?
Yeah.
So like you can get sucked down that hole. But yeah, the more aware you are of that, then yeah, you can work around that stuff and you'll find tons of time. Like for me, we have a 2-acre pasture that I mow once a week. I don't have to. I could probably get away with mowing it every 2.5 to 3 weeks. But part of that is as I mow, it takes 2.5 to 3 hours, and I'll either listen to a podcast, listen to an audiobook, or if I'm working on something at work or even around the house that I really need to think about, I'll sit down for maybe 20, 30 minutes before that, think about whatever kind of solutions that I want to solve for. And then when I'm out there on the mower riding around, I'll be processing all that stuff. So it cuts out time. So I get something done mowing, but it's a forced time of just like sitting down and thinking and working through stuff. And I've solved so much shit on that little fucking orange tractor driving around.
It's loud silence. When I feel like mowing or snow blowing, it's like loud silence because no one talks to you. Like there's nothing. You're just in your own thoughts.
Yeah.
So there's just tons of times that we can do stuff like that.
You don't mow.
No, I said or snow blow. Yeah, no, I'll snow blow. I don't mow.
There's a cool book called Organized Tomorrow today that first of all, as far as like improvement books, it was really cool because it's only 8 things that like 8 topics that it provides. The book goes through the first 4 and then it says stop, try these or pick 1 to 4 of these things that we went through, do them for 3 months, then read the second half of the book. See if there's anything back there you want to try that for 3 months. and then reevaluate. So it automatically splits it so you don't read. Now you have 8 things that you're trying to do. But anyway, one of the big takeaways from that I've used professionally and personally is to develop task lists for the day and prioritize them. So there's like the big 3. So at least for work, there's 3 things that I have to get done that day before that day is completed. And one of those tasks I make that I have to get done the moment I start working. I can't work on anything else. I can't go to any other meetings. I don't respond to any other emails. I don't do anything else at work until I get that one thing done. So then right away.
Is that one thing pooping?
I wish. That'd be nice.
I think a big part of that's patience. Like, how many people do you know that can wait 3 months for anything?
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially now with the era of Amazon.
Right.
Yeah,
You want this stuff, like you want this result to happen fast and things. But it's like you try some of that stuff out, but you can like subconsciously, I'm sure we all wake up in the morning and we have a list in our head, or we have 1,400 timers.
That's what I do.
Remind us,
Yeah.
right? But we have these lists of things that we want to do. But if you start your day off and like, there's these things that like have to get done before the day goes on, right? So with feeding the dogs, if you have dogs, like that's probably one of them. If you have small humans that rely on you, that's hopefully another one that's up there on the list. But there's things that we have to do, and so we make that the priority to get done before we move on to other stuff.
We were talking before the podcast started and my schedule changed, and it's harder for me. It seems like I have less time now than I did before, and this kind of goes into that, obviously, and I've been thinking about it. So when I come home from work, sometimes it's hard for me to get my run in and lift. So I was thinking like, well, I'm just going to, so some days I get up at 5 and some days I get up at 6. So then I was thinking, well, maybe I should just start getting up at 5 every day. And on the days that I get off later, I'll just run before work, because so I have to adjust it, because I'm not fun to be around if I don't get my workout in. Like I'm not happy about it. Like I'm not.
You're not you.
Yeah, exactly. I have to get it. It's like what we were talking about before. If you start a project and you don't get it done,
yeah.
That's all you think about. If I don't work out before I start doing other things, that's all I'll think about. Like I need to get to work out. I got to work out. And then if I don't work out, then I'm not happy. And then I feel like my day got away from me and I made mistakes about my day. And so I have to get it in someday. So I will adjust my schedule to make sure I get it in, is what I'm saying. Probably addicted to lifting weights and running now, which isn't a bad thing to be addicted to, because I will mold my day around getting it in, because I know I'm not fun to be around if I don't get to do what I want to do. And that's part of my selfishness for myself, because I still want to do things that I want to do. You know what I mean? And if you don't get to do those things, then you get upset and you're like, oh, all I did was, drive the kids around all day and do stuff around the house. I didn't get to lift any weights. I didn't get to do anything I wanted to do. Now I'm pissed off about it. And I made the mistake of not adjusting my time properly to where I could have, obviously I don't want to run in the morning before work. That sounds horrible to me, but I will do that if I have to, just to make sure I get done what I want to get done in the day, so I can hang out with the family or whatever I need to do after that, So
I've also put out there, like any of these things we're talking about, like your personal excellence stuff or being self-motivated or whatever, unless you're like using this as like staff for your business, but trying to use these same things on your significant other is not a great idea.
It's complicated.
Especially because, and that's not saying that.
How do you know?
Because I've tried it.
Not everybody, and even your friends, not everybody, and that doesn't mean that someone's not motivated, just because.
Not everybody has the same mindset.
Everybody has the same mindset, and maybe they do, and they do it a different way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but you can tell your significant other, you can talk about it, but like you know what I mean? As far as like expecting them to do the same thing you're doing, there's nothing.
I think you have to, I think you can say things kind of, you can't, I don't know. You got to say it like in a different way. You know what I mean? You can't just.
But the problem is that almost all people think that the way you do things is the right thing.
Right.
Exactly.
Because it works for me.
Yeah.
You're like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you doing this too?
Whether it's a squat or like how you work out or how like your golf swing, or you get up at 4:30 in the morning, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot, but you're in bed by 9 and I'm up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everyone thinks their way's the right way. And when you see a trainer that trains everybody the exact same way, you're like, you're an idiot. Like, not everyone's the same.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing with your goals. Like, just because someone doesn't get up at 4:30 in the morning doesn't mean they're not attacking it, right? Are they still up at midnight, or do they just function differently? I think the main thing is that just when you're talking with your significant other or other people, is I understand that it doesn't have to be your way.
Well, yeah, there's more than one way to skin a cat kind of a thing.
Yeah. Where did that fucking phrase come from, and who is skinning cats?
I guess for pelts probably back in the day.
You think?
What kind of cat?
They would cut them off.
House
They'd cut the
cats?
tails off. My dad growing up, they'd
So what's the other way?
So they would, if they liked the farmer, they would cut the tails off and just turn in the tails. If they didn't like the farmer, they would cut the tails off and cut them in half.
Yeah.
So they would have twice as many tails for the farmers because they got paid. I think he said $0.05 a tail.
Yeah.
And they just show up with a plastic bucket full of
Tails?
cat tails.
So that's where it comes from?
I don't know if that's where it comes from. There's
There's just some Midwest phrases that's like more than one way. Like,
Yeah.
how many ways are there to
a
skin
bunch
a
of
cat?
the elders around the fire department say they'll be like, "Oh, that dude's tougher than a boiled owl." What?
Who's boiling out?
I mean, I imagine a boiled owl's pretty tough, but like,
I've never heard that one.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Never-
yeah,
that
they have
either.
some good ones. They had one of them, like one of the super nice guy who's like, the really really nice person who, as soon as they say something like kind of mean, you're like, what? Talks this gal came in and he's like, wow, she looks like 10 miles of bad road today.
Wow.
Like that one I get.
Yeah.
I've seen a bad road. I imagine 10 miles of it would be rough. But yeah, the boiled owl one, I'm like,
Yeah.
I get, but I also get it. I imagine a boiled owl
Would be
is
tough.
pretty tough.
Yeah.
I used to work with this old retired guy at the mechanic shop, and he would have like weird old sayings like that. And it was around lunchtime, and he was like, "Well, I gotta head home. My wife's sitting on the stove keeping dinner warm." And I kind of sat there for a second. And I was like, "Oh, I get it. Oh, yucky."
Those jokes when you're younger that you hear them at some point in your life, you hear it, and you're like, oh, I get it now.
Have you ever gone back and watched a movie and you get more of it?
Yes.
I remember watching Ace Ventura, and then later on watching it when I got a little bit older, and I was like, when that guy pulls the gun on him when he's looking for Ray Finkel, and he says, "And a clean pair of shorts." When I was younger, I was like, "Oh," and now I'm like, "Oh, I get it. He pooped himself." But anyway, back to
Sorry about that. Gotta throw one diversion in there.
But everybody's got their own way of doing things, and it doesn't mean their way is right, wrong, whatever. As long as the task that they're trying to do gets accomplished,
Right.
it doesn't really matter.
Well, there are people who come in here work out in the mornings, and then there are people who come in here work out at night. Like, I could never be a night workout person.
Well, it's funny because the people who work out in the morning are just like, "Oh man, I just do it now because I know I don't want to come after work." Yeah. And then at night, the people are like, "Some people work out in the morning are butt fucks. Who wants to get up that early?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like a
But we
mixed
both
bag.
got the same shit done.
Yeah, or you got the lunch crew. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? They come in.
Like,
so
everyone gets their stuff done. There's just more than one way to do it.
yeah. So there's a lot of great books out there, but just not everybody's going to have the same idea / theory when about that book. And everyone might read the same book and take something different from it.
Yep.
That doesn't matter. Like Matt and I were talking about the Ed Milet thing. Like, what's he really mean by that? So we just kind of, as we were walking, had like a group discussion. You guys weren't there. Obviously, it's a company meeting without you guys again.
Yeah.
As you guys
It's
were
a
walking.
C-suite.
Yeah.
They were holding hands.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, no, we got a good ruck story for the next one. But
Oh, did you guys get assaulted on the rock?
like when two
Kinda.
pretzels were walking down the street and one was assaulted. Tanner's going to use that with all of his kids later on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add to that, Matt? Or?
No, I think like if I was to some universal advice would just be be honest with yourself when you say I wish I had time for whatever it is.
Yes.
And take a look at your day, see all the things that you're doing, all the little times that you look back and you go, "Oh yeah, I totally could have been doing something else," or "This is more important than that," and realize that in order for you to change tasks and do something different, you have to give up something. There's a trade-off for everything.
Yeah.
So just be realistic with what you're going to prioritize with, and know that comes at a cost. But if you've prioritized the new thing higher, then it shouldn't feel like a loss because you're still going to be accomplished. You're going to be moving towards that goal. and being more efficient with your time.
Yeah, and if you're broke and you want to talk about your time management, it's probably not very good. You know what I mean? Like if you're broke or you're looking to make more money and you lay out your day and it's like, well, I work my 8-hour shift, but then I go home and I do this and this, and then I play a video game. It's like 4 hours. Well, you could be doing something else. If you really want something, you can make it happen. Like Matt said, by prioritizing your time. Whether, like I said, it's working out or it's making more money or buying the house you want or the car you want or doing whatever your home projects.
Speaking of prioritizing your time, have you saved Valhalla yet or?
No.
What?
Dude, I'm like at 99 hours on that game. Now, back to my priority. Matt and I talked about this.
99 hours.
Just
on a
this
video
week, it's
game.
fine.
No, I've been playing. I've been
man.
playing that game for like.
Mom, Hot Pockets.
Yeah, I've been playing that game for what, probably like 4 months now. Dude, probably something like that.
You still haven't beat it?
I thought I was the other night.
You're like bad at this game, I think.
No, I'm just.
What game is this?
He's
Assassin's Creed
experiencing
Valhalla.
the game.
Oh, yeah.
He really wants to experience.
So
is that what it is? You're just doing all the side quests?
no,
You're not doing
You're
it?
getting your ass kicked.
no,
What's going on
it's
then?
a
What is taking
long
so
fucking
long?
game.
Well, you're getting your money's worth. So you got to give. You could say that at least.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think we need to put this out there in the question is like, is Brett taking too long to beat this game? Some little 50-year-olds would be like,
99
I beat that bitch in fucking the
No.
first
Did a
weekend.
Speed run in 4 minutes and 28 seconds. Get good, kid.
Yeah, no, because like
The Souls games are hard.
like there's been a mixed bag of like some people are like, oh, it took me like 80 hours. Some people are like, it took me like 120 hours to beat that game.
so. So what you're saying is your goal is to beat that 120 hour mark.
I think
right?
I'm actually really close. I thought I was beating it the other night, and then it was not the end of the game.
Man, I bet that's a total fucking buzz. You're like, oh yeah, this is it,
Dude, I was
Nope.
fighting Odin. I was like, okay, this has got to be the end of the game. I'm fighting Odin, and then like it wasn't.
Who else do you got to fight?
Was it a scripted loss? Those are the worst.
No, you end up just like running from him.
No.
So you did lose.
There's an order of people that you have to kill, and there's one person left, but you don't have like all the clues, like so and so clues to do it yet.
So you're clueless?
No, I have 5 of the clues. But no, as far as like Matt and I were talking about, like the time management stuff, like, but if that's something, if that's like you like to relax, like whether you read a book or you play a video game or you like to watch some TV, that's fine. But put that into like, wait, like,
Right.
Video games are an escape from life. If you
I
think
do.
about
That's why I do it just to kind of chill
you put
out.
your headphones on, you'd like, and then that's all you're thinking about for however long you're
Right.
like
but you're also
everything
not
else.
showing
Is,
up afterwards being like, fuck, I really wish I had time to do this thing at my house.
Yeah, and I really
Yeah,
only play
that's
like,
true.
in all honesty, I probably play Valhalla like maybe
10 hours a day.
Yeah, maybe like 3 or 4 hours
That'd be
a
so
week,
great.
if that. You know what I mean? It just kind of depends.
All
So-
I'm doing is thinking all day, like, man, I can't wait till I get home. You're sitting here at the gym.
I know
like,
Derek's
"Oh."
like, why do you have your Xbox here? I was like, no, bad idea, dude. Bad fucking idea.
Sitting back here with an intercom to the front.
Oh fuck! Somebody came in again. What?
Get out!
We know we've done that before playing Golden Tee. Son of a bitch, what does that person want?
Help! I'm stuck.
Yeah. So yeah, just figure out your priorities and make sure they're right. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're gonna be a world champion Valhalla player and they're gonna get paid for
Doesn't
it.
sound like you are, but
No. But you know what?
Put it down in the comments. Updates on Brett's Valhalla.
But you know what? I'm having a good time with it.
There you go.
But yeah, just kind of look over what it is. You know, examine your time if you're trying to get better. Like we said last week, personal excellence is real American freedom. I mean, it's you control it. Whichever way you want it to go, it is 100% in your control. Every decision you make, there's a, what do you want to call it, consequence and a reaction, good, bad, whatever. So it's kind of the ball's in your court. Anybody else got anything?
I don't think so.
It was great to have Chris back.
Yeah.
I did. I missed it.
Look how much he added to it today. He's had like 4 weeks to think of stuff to talk about.
yeah.
No, I
Proud
had
of you.
30 seconds on the topic. Actually,
That's true. Yeah, we threw that out there right away.
Yeah,
But-
right
Well, if you
before
would-
we started
If
recording.
you'd attend the all staff meetings, you'd be caught up.
Yeah.
Well, I
Well,
didn't
you
get-
only had half the staff. Did I? That's
Did I-
piss poor management
Did
right
I
there.
get the memo about?
There's no
was
memo.
there a memo?
No.
Yeah.
No, you know
After
that
this,
that
we're all
Friday
gonna-
afternoons is
Afternoon.
Golden Tee or Big Buck Hunter.
After this, though, Tanner did send out some topics that we're all going to laugh about when we
Yeah.
look at them.
And this week's this morning's breakfast was sponsored by Nicole.
Oh
It was
yeah,
pretty
the
solid.
breakfast was very good. Well, we haven't had
Pretty
the
solid.
scones yet, but they look amazing.
Yes.
So.
Shout out to
Okay.
Nicole.
So I think we should just throw this question out there.
Let's just save it for the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, people leave people in suspense.
Bum, bum.
And that's called a tease.
Yes, just the tip. All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, like, subscribe, share, follow us on all major platforms, the YouTubes, and we just want you to be a little less shitty every day. We'll see you next time.